Greetings and hello. This is Augie with Dustin. There
Hey,
you go.
hey, hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Or the Anime of Yesteryear Podcast. I've noticed Dustin at AWA when he does his many different panels. I still upon him. I enjoy them, and I thought I'd ask him to join with me live on a stream to interview him. So, how's the weather in
East
where you're at?
Coast, South
East
Carolina.
Coast,
I'm being
South
held by
Carolina.
my will. Please rescue me. I'm at location. Okay. Oh, almost got you there. All right. So, yeah,
Oh,
I'm Dustin from the
it
Anime
happens
of Yesteryear
everyone.
Podcast. My mouth moves slower than the will to speak. And
Oh,
I
I know
met
that thing too.
and I met Augie and I think it was in front of the AMV room where we're
It
talking for a
was.
little
It
bit.
was.
Yeah. So we traded emails and it was in both my panels. And so he asked me to be on here, and I figured I had a free Monday night, and so I'm chilling out with him tonight. So you get
Cool.
to learn all about what I know in my brain, and that it can die with you instead of with me.
Okay, so mostly my channel is about anime collecting. What do you collect?
A whole plethora of stuff. Some of the things behind me in the camera shot. Now the camera is sitting on a shelf full of figures. That isn't all my figures, and those are some
No
right there
figures.
that I'm looking at. Yeah, ha. Behind me, I've got a bunch of assorted VHS tapes, and I've got some laser discs down there. Anime laser discs I've been collecting for 10 or so years. I have a Pioneer Laser Active. Actually, oh, Dustin, all right, we got to do this opposite. So the monitor, can't point. The
I know the
monitor,
pain.
so the thing the monitor is sitting on is a Pioneer Laser Active, which is like highly prized laserdisc player that can. It's a laserdisc player that's like a gaming console with like Turbo Graphics and Sega Genesis, and I got that sucker for like $75 at a Fayetteville pawn shop in North Carolina about 10 years ago, and I had a good friend of mine
Okay.
like point it out to me, and that sucker still works. So like I've been still able to play laserdisc on it, and that sucker's from like the mid '90s, so 25 years old, coming up 30
Hmm,
maybe.
not
Yeah,
bad.
I run everything on. It runs off a Sega Genesis controller, so it's pretty cool. Um, Gosh, I got magazines. Just anything that kind of interests me that I didn't think would interest me is what I have. So
Do you have Toy Fair?
I don't have any Toy Fair issues.
Really?
I
Okay.
will say this: I have a blog online called animeofyesteryear.blogspot.com,
Ah,
which is the podcast site is like the sister site to that. But that one was sort of me starting out with taking photos or scanning anime magazines that I had, especially from like Anime America. I want to do a whole bunch of like New Type USA issues I collected when those were
I
coming
completed
out.
that one.
I so you have a whole collection of New Type.
Yeah,
Wow.
with
I
all the discs as well.
They stopped doing discs for a while because I heard from Tiffany Grant that like people were like tearing the plastic open and getting the discs, so they stopped making them and then they put them back. And I think about the time they stopped the disc which I think was about 2004 or so was when I was like, I don't really
Mm,
care because I don't have a sample disc, but I have all my sample discs on a spindle. I think it might be like up there or something.
Spindle. Let me show you what I got mine on. Oh yeah, what was your first anime?
So let me get a swig of this. Hmm.
That goodness.
So as your host is grabbing stuff to show off better things than I have. Um,
Nah, it's custom.
my first anime is, or I would say before I even knew it was anime, it was Sailor Moon back in the mid '90s when it was on TV, either through syndication on the afternoon block. But I remember it being on the weekends after the Kids WB airings, like in the mid '90s, '95, '96 or so. And I just knew they were Japanese cartoons. I didn't really. I just saw them and they were entertaining, but I didn't get into it. It wasn't like, oh, that was the anime that hooked me to anime. Um, I will say that what probably hooked me into anime was Toonami, thanks to Dragon Ball Z. When you look at it in
Yeah.
hindsight, that's what a lot of people are. And I think without Toonami, we wouldn't be here. I think for a lot of us. And I know at 2019, I did a panel at AWA called it was the 25 years of anime on Cartoon Network or history of anime on Cartoon Network. And I ran for an hour and a half and I put together everything I knew plus more of things I didn't even know about. And that went over very well. So people were very educated. I don't know too much about Sci-Fi Channel and the anime on there, even before like some. I know there's some stuff that aired, say before the Saturday anime stuff, and then I kept up with Anime Monday like when that was on TV over a decade ago. But
No one
that's
told me
about
about
my
that Monday.
yeah. But there's a lot more people that are I think more expertise in the anime on Sci-Fi Channel, and that would be pretty interesting to know. Um, I think in terms of an anime channel, I really would like to know more history about is the Spanish channel in the Latin countries in South America called Locomotion, which is how I saw Evangelion and Bubblegum Crisis for the very first time. It was in Espanol.
Okay, cool.
I was on a missions trip in Ecuador in the early 2000s, and I happened to come across it when I was getting an anime. So this was 2002. And so I saw like my two favorite episodes of Evangelion, which are nobody's favorite episodes, were the ones I saw in Spanish. And so when I finally saw those in English, like a couple months later, from borrowing some stuff from tapes from a friend in high school, like we were getting connected because it was I was a new kid, and he's like, "Yeah, I got all the Evangelion on VHS," and I was like, "Can I borrow it?" And yeah, so I was able to go through those episodes and understand what I watched, and then I
What were
eventually
the
got
two
into
episodes? Was it Headshot?
um the two episodes are the day Tokyo 3 stood still, and then the one where the virus takes over the Magi system, the Ritsuko episode. Yeah, no,
You
it was
don't
the big
like those two?
the big spider angel. That's one of the first ones I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are like my favorite episodes, and I know they're nobody else's.
News to me.
Yeah.
And again, I don't really talk to that many people, so
Well, you go to cons. I mean, you
yeah,
talk to me. That's why I'm
yeah,
here. So
yeah. There you go. For me, for my first anime, I remember three. Well, no, and it was anime. It was The Little Bits, Grimm's Fairy Tale Adventures,
hmm
both of those on Nick Jr.
okay.
And somehow I saw Fist of the North Star, the movie. I want to say it was Saturday Anime.
It
Could have
might
been,
have
could have not been.
it might have been because I remember like they had Saturday morning anime in the 2000s, and that's when they did the Rising Sun block on Toonami. So they had the Garlic
But
Junior Saga playing. And I remember one Saturday I flipped over to the Sci-Fi Channel, and I didn't know what it was, but it was awesome. And I didn't find out until a few years later what it was. And I found a VHS copy of it at like a flea market, and that was Rojin Z. The
ah,
one where the old man in the medical bed and he fuses with like other machines and terrorizes.
yeah,
And I didn't know what it was. I was just like, this is really cool. And I should have just kept watching anime on Sci-Fi Channel. I was like, no, it's not Dragon Ball Z. And so then I kind of forgot about it.
there was
And I
this
want
one
to say
time where
I was gonna say I think I caught part of an Armitage film, but I've never been able to confirm that.
luckily Armitage is a whole lot easier to get now.
Yeah.
So one time when I was flipping through the channels, I saw one of the Tenchi movies. I want to say it was the first one, and
hmm
for some reason it was on Sci-Fi Channel. It didn't grab until later. I talked to some school acquaintances. I didn't know what was going on. It was like they're playing stuff that's on Toonami on this channel while Toonami's on another channel. So it was a kind of strange ordeal there. But what I
I
wanted to show you was
yeah.
the new Type USA case.
Oh my god,
A
I've never
pure
seen that
custom
before.
case. It is not a product. A friend made the design
Oh,
for this on
okay.
Photoshop. So I went to a trophy shop, got it printed out,
Uh huh.
and pretty much put some sticky stuff on it, slap it on your basic case, and there you go.
So that's where you house all your new type bonus disc in there.
Oh yeah, the Seto Kaiba preview discs.
Yeah. No, there was some good stuff. I mean, like they had like Mazen Kaiser's skull as a promo disc. There was the Robotech stuff that ADV was putting out. Um,
You get a Robo.
I don't know if
No,
I
no,
have
it
that
was
one.
Majin Kaiser. It was like a one or two episode preview disc.
I think there was a pre-tier was another one.
Yeah.
I mean, all my stuff is in a spindle, and like they had Sayuki, which I like the intro to Sayuki, but I've never seen the show.
I made a complete collection of Sayuki. That was one that I was very impressed with how
Okay.
much more it was,
Hmm.
but I still need to watch the show. Yeah, well, um, this might interest you. I was one of the Toonami contest winners for Banjo Kazooie.
Really?
Yeah,
Shoot, what year was that?
uh, it was either 98, I believe,
Wow.
summer '98. So that was really awesome. Terrible
I am
time.
I am also a Toonami contest winner. When they made those custom Tom 3 T-shirts, I was one of the lucky ones that got one.
Cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
so it's
another fellow member winning.
yeah. So you got one as well.
No, I just got the Toonami one. I mean, not
Okay,
the Banjo Kazooie one. There you go.
okay, yeah. That T-shirt's in the closet somewhere. So I've
Cool.
worn it to a con a couple of times. Yeah, I don't want anything happening to that shirt.
I don't blame you. I'm kind of surprised you're not framing it back there.
I haven't thought about framing it. So I was like, oh, cool, a con shirt. And then I see how crazy these people are selling anime shirts online, and I'm like, well, maybe I, deserve
Yeah,
that a little better.
especially if it's the nudie booty promotion ones for some god ridiculous reason. Uh,
Yeah,
one of them was like 2,000, and I was like, "Are you sure that's even clean?" You know?
I don't remember this one. Nudie
What are you looking
booty.
at? Oh, another way of saying hentai.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I have a different lingo. Oh, sometimes.
I gotcha.
All right. There's more questions.
Well, you're asking me some of those before
Yeah.
we started recording.
Yeah. Oh yeah, your anime podcast. What was the longest episode you ever done on that one?
Um, so in terms of length, and this is something we've never released because it was intended as a joke.
Ah,
Um, the longest episode is 12 hours. Let me
12 hours.
explain. It so there was a guy that my co-host and I. So I'm a former member of a website called Toon Zone, which changed its name to Anime Superhero for what ungodly reason?
That makes it more bland.
That was my argument, and I think I got kicked out of the Discord server for expressing my opinions on it, and then
Oh
later
no.
got kicked out of the forum because why should anyone stick around there? Anyways, but it's not the same as it used to be the old Toon Zone days. But my podcast co-host and the people we have on, I've known these guys since our AIM chats since the mid 2000s, so 15 years. We've been talking online nearly almost every day, and
Cool.
I've seen these guys grow up, and we've gone on each other's nerves. We got some dirt on each other, and that kind of fun stuff. So there was a guy that had a website called TuneRadio.net, and his name was Mason. And I'm not going to get into a whole lot of details, but that website eventually did fail, and he's in a position where I think he's still alive, and he's also in Buffalo. I think in like government housing now. He was sort of homeless for a while. Like I said, it's a long story, but
Ooh.
the joke of it was how we got into podcasting, or how I did. I kind of jumped into had a podcast on there 10 years ago called the Cool Kids Club. The joke was that we figured he was going to air anything. So before I jumped on there, the founders of it, which is one of my co-hosts, or my co-host, and another couple of people, decided to spell the first letters of Cool Kids Club with all K's, so that it was the KKK podcast.
Oh no.
And we're like, well, he would air anything on there. And I jumped on and kind of tried to structure it the best I could, and I kind of picked off one guy. Anyways, that's some
Right.
drama there. I'm not going to get into that, but I think it was the point where I don't remember why we wanted to do it. If my co-host was on here, he would tell more about it, but he's not feeling too good tonight.
Okay.
But it was like, I remember I was like, you know what? Let's just send him a 12-hour recording and see what happens. And all I stuck in it was like cartoon toy promotions, like those Irwin Dragon Ball Z toy commercials, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
made as audio files. And the joke was like, Well, you could probably get away with airing white noise, and he would air it, and so that's what I did. So for an hour was like these random Cartoon Network audio promotions, and then another 11 hours or so was white noise. And I sent him
Wow.
this file, and he damn, I'm dying.
I don't know
So
why, with what voice that you've listed, it sounds pretty awesome.
that's why it's just like it's never gonna come out. I think we listed as some special just to see what he would do, and he aired it on there, and it's just kind of like I can't because he's a guy that claims that like for an obscure online radio site that at one point he claimed to have 10,000 truckers listen to his website. It's such an odd claim to know that you have 10,000
So
guys,
10,000, okay, but specifically truckers. How do you
truckers.
track that? They don't leave
What
muddy
truckers are
trails
like
on
the
the.
backbone rednecks of America. How they're gonna know about this mostly autistic guy running a cartoon like internet channel out of the blue? I don't know where he got this claim from. So I don't know. Like he said
10,000
he
hits.
yeah, you're sort of a normal minded guy, and you're trying to make sense of how that logically makes sense. So
I think he was quickly saying something to sound impressive, but it didn't work out.
no.
No, I don't know. Ooh, I don't understand the fathom of this now.
It's my circle of friends just needs to stay in our circle. We don't need anybody else. Um, it's actually through them I know more about Chris Chan than I should ever do. So that's saying something.
Ooh,
But in terms of an actual recording, we have a couple of like 5.5 hour podcasts, and in terms of like we would straight record one. A straight recording is about close to 3 hours. I think we've done a couple of times, like Star Wars episodes. But what in my grand scheme of things, I like to just like, record 3 different things, and I haven't put anything out for a while, so let's just like bundle like 3 recordings into one. So with some of ours from like last year are like close to 6 hours because it's 2 or 3 different recordings in one episode, so I don't have to do anything with podcasting for a couple months because I'm that lazy.
Okay.
So we were kind of on this consistent schedule, and I've had other things come up in life. So does my friends, and we just do it whenever. I mean, I'm not held to any kind of higher standard to like I have to. There's people demanding I have to put it out once a month or whatever. It's just kind of whenever we have the time, and we have a lot of stuff planned and stuff we've talked about for years. I know one of them was talking about Berserk, and then we finally did it. After the creator died.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's the story of our longest podcast episode that was never going to come out because there's no reason nobody should ever listen to it.
So, what was the wildest episode you ever made?
Whew.
You can split it into category of sober or drunk, whichever you like.
So, I've done a drunk one once where I read off Right Stuff promotion material, which, by the way, there's an upside to drinking, kids. I put that out and tagged Right Stuff on Twitter. I didn't think anything would happen. I get like a half a written Christmas card that someone from PR forgot to fill out. And this like movie called Snot Detective. It's some Asian comedy movie. We haven't even watched it yet. And they sent it to me like, yeah, you need to be part of our promotion group. So thanks to me drinking and my co-host not showing up one night and boredly reading out everything from the Right Stuff Christmas promo from like 6 years ago, like on their website of what's discounted, we were getting stuff from Right Stuff for a couple of years. And so then they decided to up their game and their quality of when they can give out free stuff to people. And so then they stopped sending us stuff. So I was like, well, it was a good run while it lasted.
Hey, at least you leave the dream for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like that's something nice to put on your like resume. It's like, hey, like we were product reviewers whenever we had Blu-rays and stuff come in. So we didn't get into great detail because it was we were interested in the Gundam stuff.
Oh yeah.
And just kind of us talking about the quality of like the disc, and not really. I mean, like the stuff they added on the disc, but then also like I know like certain people online said how great Char's counterattack looks, and like upscaled. And there's some scenes it does not look good. And I saw that sucker in theaters like 2 years ago, and there's parts of it where it's unrecognizable how blurry those masters look when they upscaled it. There's some stuff that looks super sharp, and there's others that just you couldn't see what was on screen. And they're like these people that keep saying how wonderful this upscale is. This just a slap in the face. And then F91 looks fantastic, at least from what I've seen.
Okay. Did F91 get Fathom events?
No, but I mean, Char's counterattack did, and they had it subtitled for some reason, which didn't make any sense. I wish they had a dub because that's a good dub. But the Blu-ray of F91 is really, really nice looking. You pop it in the first 5 minutes. I mean, you pop in the first 5 minutes of Char's counterattack, and it's like a couple of good-looking scenes, and then some blurry-looking crap. And I'm like, this isn't impressive. But I guess it's different masters they were working with. I have no idea.
I'm not sure either. I know.
No,
it's Sunrise directly working with Right Stuff to release it, but I don't know what they're thinking with that.
So I just told you the alcoholic part of the story. I haven't told you one of my co-hosts getting high on the podcast.
Ooh.
So this was back. This was not on this podcast, but like the one we started out with Toon Radio. So 10 years ago, and it was right before we ended it. And my co-host has he's talked about it where he's got Crohn's disease, and so he's been treated for that and had a surgery a few years ago that kind of helped clear that up. So he was taking medical marijuana, and he hit it the first time on a recording, and it just out of the blue, me and this other guy we have on there, who we call Daft, we were talking about our conventions, and he just kind of points in there and he goes, "Has anyone ever been high before?" And we're like, "Are you serious?" So I think since then he's like gotten used to it. So I don't know how many times he's done the podcast high, but he's a functional high guy. So hey, if it's legal, what do I care?
Yeah.
There's also another one. I'm not going to really go into too much detail, but it's involving ex-Toon Zone members and this one dude that was on there. I had the recording. It's on our history thing where we kind of bash this guy because of something he. I looking back, I shouldn't have done it, but at the time I didn't care. And we had this other guy on there that we kind of dropped eventually. And anyways, it's
right.
But that's on our, I believe, Battle Royale High School review. If anyone just wants to skim to the last part of it and us ranting into this guy that he doesn't have anything to do with us anymore.
Right.
So, but that recording is still active out there online. That was sort of an incident that could have been isolated instead of putting it out there. But I also was like, we're kind of sick of this guy's crap. So I don't care. And some people were white knighting for this guy and defending him on like Toon Radio, and we just kind of laughed at it. But
well,
it's over 10 years ago. So I think we're beyond the statute of limitations there. We've gotten slightly better.
Okay. All right. Mecha. What Mecha series do you like? Is Tekmen Blade the greatest one ever?
Well, I'm gonna have to disappoint you because I have not really seen Tekmen Blade yet.
That's fine. They need to make it more available. You okay, bud?
Yeah. I just kind of get some mucus in the back because you talk so much.
Gotcha.
So I'm doing good. I've been a Gundam fan for 20 years, so Gundam's kind of like my solid thing. I've got model kits. I've got the figures. I'm looking at them right now. I mean, I've got the Gundam films between DVD and VHS of those Bandai releases. So it was English dub that had like Steve Bloom as Char's novel and a British guy as
where they
Captain
kept yelling like Gundam instead of Gundam.
Yeah. I like. I mean, that was kind of like my introduction to those films when I I think I've had a VHS tape to the last one I found at a video store, and then I think I might have gotten rid of it or something, and then I wound up finding the films on eBay later because it was like the dub has never been released on disc. It's
Yeah,
only on those VHS tapes.
apparently, Sunrise is very ashamed of that dub, even though
it's not a bad dub.
yeah.
I mean, there's worse dubs out there. It's not a good dub, and the TV series dub is really good, but I mean, like I for what it is, it's a pretty interesting dub. So
here's one for you.
mm-hmm.
Have you seen Aura Battler done by not Gar? I'm not talking about Garzy's wing, but the original Battle Orler. Okay.
Yeah,
Seen...
I picked up. Yeah, I picked up the What was it when they first put it on Blu-ray? I think Amazon had a sale for like $22, and I was like, "Well, I got to buy this." And my co-host and I eventually went ahead and reviewed it and watched it. So that's one of our podcast episodes.
Cool. What about Orcus?
We have not gotten into Orcus yet. Our thing on Classic Mecha is we have a thing where we do a Takahashi versus Tomino, where we compare one series to the other. So far we've covered like Blue Gender, Garzy's Wing. Yeah, that's one of the Takahashi's kind of like, it's not. No, Blue Gender is actually good. It's Gasaraki that's also. It's not.
That was released by ADV, then re-released by Right Stuff.
Gasaraki?
I believe so.
I thought Bandai put that out, and then I think Funimation, because there's that whole collection set that I think is from Funimation. Let's see, we've got that. Dude, I kicked myself for not picking up Edeon on Blu-ray because that sucker's so much now.
Which one?
I had Space Runaway Edeon.
Oh yeah.
Made in Japan, i.e. ADV. I mean, they had the license to that in Zabungle. Now I have Zabungle on Blu-ray, and we did review that. But my friend watched the series, and I watched the compilation films, and so those are kind of two different beasts. And then also with Edeon, they had the two movies, and then there's also the series. And I wish I had a series because I can go more in depth on that at my own leisure. But I just have to refer to the other means of getting anime online. So.
Right. I wish they would have had a better deal with that. I'm not sure if Eidolon had the remaster issue or not.
You're talking about Edeon?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that version looks like because I remember it was like $60 on Amazon. I was like, I'll just wait till it goes down in price, and then it never did.
I think 40 was the lowest it got.
Yeah,
and it sold out.
Yeah, because it sold out. It goes up. It goes up in prices, and the minute anything goes out of print, and Made in Japan isn't like, oh, we're going to rescue license it. And I'm hoping maybe Discotech will, but we'll see about that. They did it with Cobra, which I was surprised.
Oh yeah,
because I have two versions of the Cobra TV series on DVD from Right Stuff, and one of it's sealed and brand new, so it's like, well, I'm just kind of sitting on that, but that's gone down because now you can get Cobra easily through Discotech. So it's like they weren't going to let that one go. I'm hoping they can get the other Mecha series, but maybe I don't know if the cost is too high or what. So
who knows?
Yeah.
Sometimes some of these, with Scribe, we've seen with Sentai Filmworks, they'll buy the license and just sit on it until someone else, all a Discotech, gets it and re-releases the thing, which makes you wonder, did they just sit? Well, I'm halfway on this one. Did they sit on the license just to have the license, or I think it was Bandai who has Scribe and just didn't give them the masters. I don't know.
It's Scribe or whatever. Yeah, because Discotech put that out. I need to get the whole Pat Labor collection. I mean, technically, I have all the Pat Labor like on different DVD sets, like the CPM ones, and I've got the Bandai Oniames, the box sets that they had with like all the artwork, the storyboards when they were like $10 on a decade ago. So I swiped those up, and so of course those are going up in value.
I don't blame you for swiping it back then, but with all the video stores closing, reopening, and
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me, I'm gassy tonight. And the whole thing, if someone steals from one store, trades it to the other store destroys it. Stuff going on.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Okay. Uh, that's what Movie Stop used to have to do if people stole from FYE and traded in at Movie Stop.
Oh wow. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
it'd
gotten
be
I've
sad.
gotten a whole bunch of anime, like the used anime stuff, growing up from like Suncoast at the mall when
Oh
I lived
yeah.
in North Carolina, and then there was a Coconuts in Cary also around that time that I bought a bunch of stuff from too.
Cool.
Um, yeah, so they had. I remember buying like Soul Bianca on VHS right before the market crash when they were like, "Oh, we want $30," and I'm like, "I really love Soul Bianca." Because I saw the dub through a Stars recording through my friends in high
Cool.
school. Because one guy recorded a bunch of stuff from Stars, so like I finished the Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040 areas from him that way. He let me borrow, and I know like one of them had a recording of like Soul Bianca, and I fell in love with it. And I didn't get the dub for the VHS until many years later, and we did a podcast recording about it a couple of years ago. So I get to go into how much I love Soul Bianca, which is another OVA that I think is awesome, but no one talks about or even really knows about.
They did. There is a UK release of Soul Bianca that you can get on DVD that does play over here.
Okay, interesting. But that was the double pack one that's only been released in the UK. And I think that was released by ADV in the UK.
This one was. Oh, let me go get it. What sci-fi series do you like?
Um,
Anime.
for anime, ooh,
Yeah.
nothing hits the top of my head.
Not even Outlaw Star.
I mean, okay. Well, I mean, I kind of liked Outlaw Star, but it's not my favorite because I didn't. It was on Toonami, but I was kind of out of anime at the time, and I didn't see Outlaw Star until it was on Toonami just a couple of years ago on the late night block.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so that was the first time I saw it. But it didn't really strike a nerve to me like it did Cowboy Bebop. And Cowboy Bebop is like that is science fiction, but it's just a lot plethora of a lot of things. It's more of like a Western exploitation anime, and I think that's why everyone in America really likes it because it hits so close to home.
Oh yeah.
If you had to say that was science fiction, that would be like one of my top ones. I think Bubblegum Crisis is probably my top science fiction one. That's just one of my favorite OVAs
Okay.
in series, so I have to go with that.
All right. So you said Soul Bianca. Now the VHS that you're talking about is the original. So you have.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
got
this
the
is what you were talking.
clamshell. I've got a clamshell. I got a laser disc, and then I've got the dub VHS tape, which is just like the regular case of it that I found online.
Okay. So showing off first, this would be like the
Yeah,
sequel series.
that's Legacy. I wasn't impressed with Legacy. I need to
Fair
rewatch it
enough.
again. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not the only one. I just remember watching it. I'm like, this isn't catching me.
Then here's the UK one I was talking about.
Aha. Yeah, that's the one I don't have.
I'll get with you and get you the barcode and get you at least the listing your way if you're
Okay.
interested.
Yeah, that'd be
I'll
awesome.
help you out
Thanks.
with
I'm
that.
I'm not sure how much they go for.
Last time I bought it, it was like $9 to $20. I don't know about modern pricing.
Okay. Yeah, I've known about that DVD. It seems like I can never get a hold of it, or maybe just like I forget about it.
So if you like that, have you ever seen Darker Than Black or? All right, main character says my Johnny. Eden. All right.
I
Show
know of
this.
Darker Than Black, but I've never seen it.
Eden of East. Eden of the East.
I know of Eden in the East, but I have not seen it. I think I might have an Eden in the East DVD collection, and it's sitting in a box somewhere. I have a bunch of
Yeah,
like tubs in my closet in there that I've got a bunch of because I just don't have the space in my room right now,
gotcha.
and there's
So
still
when you
more stuff
watch,
in storage.
yeah, fair enough. So when you watch anime, what's your preference? Do you like to break out the big old projector on your computer screen, roll to the side, look at your TV?
I mean, how I've been watching stuff recently is if I'm getting it online, and most of the stuff you get online is MKV files. I go through like say Handbrake and convert it to MP4, and then I pop it on a stick drive and watch it on my PS3 on my TV, and that just seems to be very convenient. So like as we were recording, I've been kind of watching Foundation, which is an Apple TV series that's you can find online through other means, and so I've been
Okay.
getting into that. That one's actually really good. So I got like the last like 2 episodes to finish up. So like yeah, there's like that's kind of a way of watching stuff there. And I also, like I said, I convert like because a lot of stuff that's MKV, that's just a way to have subtitles on it. But a Handbrake, you can basically convert the file, and then you just say you want the sub track to it, so it converts to MP4, so it's burned in there as like a hard file or that hard sub. And I think it's science fiction, but also a mecha series that I watched on my like all the way through my PS3 was Galvion, high speed Galvion.
Cool.
So there was a group out there that's fan subbed it, and I really really enjoyed it. It's not the most pretty looking character designs, and the plot's kind of like the first few episodes was like you expect someone to die, someone's going to die. But that was really cool. It kind of sucks that it ended sort of like the way it did, like 22 episodes or something. Because I think the toy company dropped the funding for the show because it wasn't selling well. So then just like they kind of did like this, oh, here's like just like a 2-minute summary or like not even like a minute summary of like how the story would end. And that's the end of it. And it's kind of sad. I don't think we're ever going to get Galvion back or remade or whatever, but it's definitely a show it's just a fun show to watch. And then I picked up like Riger on Blu-ray from Discotech recently that's sitting on my shelf behind me that I'll get to watching at some point.
Riger.
The J9.
Oh yeah.
Something Cyclone Riger.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been mispronouncing it. Okay.
Yeah, there's like it's the 3 series of the J9. They're supposed to come out with the 4th one, so it's Riger, Sasa Riger, and something Iger.
Oh, with a friend, those on the channel might know him. Flip Otaku.
Okay.
I've been watching. I got through Voltus 5. I'm about to start Combat V. Then finally finish up this romance saga.
Okay. So I've seen Voltus 5 and I enjoyed it, but the version I saw was the Filipino English dub, courtesy of Dave Merrill a couple years ago from AWA. I forgot I asked him about it online on this forum that called Old School Otaku, and he showed up at the con. He's like, "Here's the first half of Voltus 5." And so I popped that sucker into the friend's house I was staying at, and I just had a good time. And then the rest of the episodes I found to find on another streaming site and kind of convert them, download them that way. So they're like on this makeshift bootleg custom DVD thing that has all the English dub to it. It's sad that Discotech couldn't get the English dub rights to it from the Philippines. It makes the show so much more enjoyable. I'm sure the show is great subbed, but with the dub, it just makes it wonderful. And like I showed some clips of that at the bad anime dubbing panel I did at AWA, and so people got to watch a little bit of Voltus 5 and how crazy it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to fit in the room for that one, sadly. So speaking of panels,
nor did half the people that were along the wall because it's some sort of fire hazard and the fire marshal was going to shut us down or some nonsense.
Honestly, I think it was the person who worked there was there to stay until her shift was over, but that's just me speculating. But I also see the safety issues with that. But since you brought panels back, what was your favorite panel that you ever hosted? And it just felt rewarding.
I'll enjoy every panel that I do. I know that for a while, I haven't done this at cons in a number of years. I did it in South Carolina cons, and it started from Animazement, which was started out as What the Damn Moments in Anime. And then I kind of turned into what the heck moments in anime. And I ran that as like an 18 plus panel at like say Bonsai Con and Nashi Con. I was at Bonsai Con for a couple of years when that con first started out, and I haven't been at Bonsai Con in probably 10 years, or
Oh wow.
6 or 7 or something. But I've kind of if I've done that panel, it's always been like an all ages thing. If I bring it back again, but that was sort of like a good leap into making like a crazy panel of showing whatever I wanted to. But I gotta say, I think in terms of me just kind of like feeling satisfied to get all this knowledge out of my head was definitely the Cartoon Network panel at AWA, and then also the initial D panel that I did at this previous con. And because now it's just like I got, instead of all this stuff just trapped in my head, I can actually just share it with people and get it all out there. So I can, I mean, I'll if I do the initial D panel again at say on another con or online, and I can flesh out my ideas a little bit more. But I mean, I'll just run it the same way I did at AWA. It was just here's a cliff note, here's all the notes of what I need to talk about, and then everything kind of rolls off the tongue from there. It makes it more engaging.
I really enjoyed the Initial D panel. I
Thank
did
you.
not know that there was I didn't have all tracks of Initial D, so I did get the Tokyo Pop releases of Initial D. So I guess I'm missing stage 5 and 6 now.
I mean, yeah, those have never been released in America. I mean, the only releases I have up to is the third movie. I didn't get version or stage 4 from Funimation. I think because I was just kind of like focused on other stuff, and I've already seen fourth stage, and fourth stage was it was all. I mean, looking back, it was all right. I probably need to watch it again, but I need to, like I said in the panel, I need to finish watching the whole series. But I know what happens. So it's a matter of just kind of me just like sitting through it. So like that's another, like I've got like the fifth and final stage and like these like stick drives next to me that eventually I'll get around to watching, but just other things have taken my time, like I've preoccupied my time.
So
And
one
so I just
question I wouldn't been able to ask at the con, but I can ask here.
Yeah.
So why Initial D instead of something like Speed Racer or IGPX?
Well, I love Initial D for number one, and I know of Speed Racer and I know of IGPX, but those aren't like my shows. And Initial D is like I said in the panel, where like there's a lot of factors to Initial D. You got like what I like to call the 4 pillars. You got the manga, put that there, the anime, the video games, and the music. So I think either one of those 4 is what gets people into Initial D, and maybe the other 3 connect. But those seem to be the most important pillars. And like the arcade scene, like when I went into incredibly great detail on, is what I know the most. And I met my best friend Josh from that, and it's just kind of one of those things where it's like a lot of good has come out of being an Initial D fan. And it's not to say that oh, if you watch Initial D, great stuff will happen to you. I'm not saying that. I'm not like a prosperity preacher or anything. But it's just kind of one of those things like that's sort of my niche. That's like my zone, my area, and that's kind of what I care about the most. And it seems like just like a lot of like really good things have come from that. And that's kind of what I know and what I enjoy. When I was really obsessed with in high school was Initial D, when I really discovered it. I mean, yeah, I love Gundam, but like Initial D is very unique. It's kind of like in its own section over here of like this part of anime fandom that I really like and enjoy, and that I can talk about just as much as Gundam. I don't know, like Gundam for me is kind of like Star Wars, where, well, it's not really just kind of Star Wars. It is in Japan, but it does the thing where hasn't done it yet. I mean, I still care about it, but I'm not as passionate about it when I first got into it. Where like you're just obsessed with it, and and eventually, something happens with Gundam, and like, oh, I can't do Gundam. Like, oh, this show's terrible, and like, they make it too politically, correct, blah blah blah. They haven't done that with Gundam, but I mean, there's some stuff. It's just like I think there's so much there that's like I'm at the point where I'm going to pick and choose what interests me the most about Gundam and just stick to that. And I kind of reflect that in like the AMVs I make, where like I used 8th MS Team in 2 AMVs that were centered around war film trailers like Apocalypse Now and Platoon, and those making that just getting it out of my brain worked very well, and I feel like I did a very good job on those. And those are on my YouTube channel, and I can send you the link, and so people can check them
Oh,
out.
go
And
for it. Go for it.
for that on that as well. So I can give you that to put in show notes, and yeah, kind of go from there.
All right. Now, I'm glad you brought up AMVs because I believe AMVs is a big part of why you go to AEWA, I guess.
Um, I got into AMVs, started making them like early 2000s, and there was a friend that was at my house once, and he said, "Hey, Windows XP has this editing program. You got to check into it." And so I had downloaded some like really terrible quality episodes of Zeta Gundam and was putting it to a song, and I still have that video. It's not good, but it's kind of fiddling around, and I had so much fun editing something and I think in a way where it's like I've always been a very visual, creative person where like I would listen to music, and I guess in terms of like a planning stage or concept of ideas to music was like when I was watching Dragon Ball Z and in middle school, and so then I was like listening to like the rock station out of Raleigh, which was 96 Rock. Um, and I think they've changed hands or it's something else now, sadly. But they would have like Linkin Park, and for some reason I kept thinking of like battle scenes from Dragon Ball Z to like breaking me down from that one song from Linkin Park, or I think it's Korn, I don't know.
Hmm.
And it was kind of like but I didn't have any way to kind of express it creatively. I didn't have the technology; it was just all in my head. And with editing, I was able to get these ideas out of my head. And now, granted, looking back, it's just kind of a kid playing in the sandbox, like trying to build a sandcastle. I'm having so much fun not knowing exactly how to properly build a sandcastle, but I'm understanding the basics of it. And I did some AMVs. It was something I just did for fun on the side, and then I submitted stuff for animation back in 2009, 2010. And then after that, I just kind of like my interest went to other things, and I went to college, and I eventually got into what the heck is my degree in? Oh, communications and digital media. So like I learned commercial art as my associates, and then I went to Anderson University in South Carolina, and I got my bachelor's in communications and digital media. And while I was there, I got to meet Robert Woodhead in Animation one year,
Cool.
and I got to make a couple promo videos for Talking to Video, their Kickstarter. And it was all based on me, him, and Michael Sensor Nicholas in a 45-minute conversation in the lobby at that con.
Yeah.
And at the end, I was just like, "Hey, Robert, what can I do to help make stuff for you?" And he's just like, "Oh yeah, just shoot me an email." So laid back, chill about it. And I said, "Well, can I, use these music, like what can I do for music rights?" And so then we got that figured out, and I put together some stuff. And he said when I sent it, like one of the stuff I sent him, he said, "My wife laughed her ass off. She loved it so much." And even then, I wasn't really like pushed into making AMVs. I was like, "Well, this is cool, but like I don't really feel the need to make any more." And it was in 2018 when a buddy of mine, John, and I sat in one of the AMV rooms, and it was somebody's panel, and I was seeing what people were making, and I think they're just like rough drafts. And I thought that was like actually what the AMV community was becoming, was like this non-talented area. And I was like, and I thought to myself, it was kind of like this stick up my butt where it's like, if this is the best the AMV community can do, I'm going to make something that's going to knock everyone's socks off. So I worked on something for about 9 months, just off and on, and taking my time on it whenever I could. And then I submitted to F Bombs for Charity. It was taking Straight Outta Compton with Cowboy Bebop, and I was just having fun with it. And I heard that place, everyone in that room loved it. And I submitted to, I think it was Katsucon's 18 plus thing. And one guy was like, "Yeah, that should have won Best Action." I was like, "Okay." And I got back into making more, and I got connected to somebody who's on VAT staff now, or video art track staff for AWA, and he got me into his group. And so now I have like sort of a reason, a desire to make AMVs again, and I feel like I'm doing very well because I'm sitting on 2 trophies I got at AWA a
Come
couple
on,
weeks
show them off.
ago. Yeah.
Show
I
'em
got
off.
best documentary in the world, and I was up on stage in front of everyone crying my eyes out because it hit me that the stuff I do actually matters. And I was just in an emotional state and in that moment kind of thing. And it was just a matter of like I won awards in 2020 online at these online cons, but like you're not there in front of like people to get the actual crowd reaction. I was there, and I was just like, holy crap, this is actually happening. So I got best documentary in the world.
Sweet.
Yeah, and that is for a joke video. I didn't think I was going to get anything for it, where I took um, a segment from Jeremy Clarkson's Motor World before he did Top Gear with Initial D. And I even had somebody mask him into a scene, and it went very well. And it's only a minute and a half. It's on my YouTube channel. So yeah, I called it Jeremy D. That was, I'm not very creative on these titles, but anybody can watch it and love it. And even on the comments on like animemusicvideos.org, people were like, I did not, like, someone said, like, I did not expect to see what I saw. This is amazing. This is good stuff. So
cool.
And I just kind of have a knack to make like trailers. Like I want to take classic film trailers and put it to anime, and I have a lot of ideas for that. So
TMC did that.
The what?
One time. TMC did that. Turner Classic Movies did that with Cowboy Bebop, and I believe
Casablanca.
Yeah,
they took the audio of the scene with Faye and Spike and mixed it with Casablanca, and that actually worked pretty well. It's just a matter of just kind of like, I think when I was in college, like, doing all these art classes, and I think somebody either art history or I heard it from somewhere where that my theology on AMVs, and a lot of people have a thing on it, but my thing is a matter of when an artist looks at a sculpture or looks at a piece of rock, he already envisions the sculpture that's in it. It's his job to bring it out. The sculpture is trapped inside this block of marble or clay or whatever, and the artist's job is to basically bring it out. It's already been established in there. It's planned, and you're the one that sees it. And so it's your job to bring that to life, to show everyone what's trapped behind everything else around that rock that's not the statue. And I see that as kind of like, I think in a song, there's a video in there that's with that song, or, that's your job to piece together the pieces and put it together and kind of and go from there. And there's some things you can listen to that song 100 times and you know exactly what to do, and others you have to kind of fiddle some stuff in there and make sure it works. But that's all kind of the fun. That's the way I look at it. That's sort of my philosophy. So
I know that Initial D is real close to you. However, there's another show that sort of has the same beginning premise, but obviously diverges in different areas. And that would be Hajimono Ippo. Have you ever seen any of that?
I have not had a chance to watch that series yet.
Okay.
I know of it. I just haven't watched it.
I'm not going to rub it in your face like many of the fans would do. It is the same the same director as Trigun.
Okay.
It does take a lot of elements from Rocky, which is fine.
Oh yeah, I love Rocky. I love those films.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen the Creed ones yet. I need to eventually.
Creed 1, I haven't seen the second one, but Creed 1, it's best to see in a movie theater or at least some sort of HD setting because of how they filmed it.
Oh,
filmed the action, because that, to me, that was amazing when they did that. But for Hajimono Ippo, it's nothing like Tomorrow's Joe, the original, where the main character is a complete ass. And if you've never seen that, that's fine. But
I know of Tomorrow's Joe. I just haven't gotten around to watching it. I will eventually. There's this endless backlog of things I need to watch.
Well, that just means there's more to look forward to.
Yeah. I will say this: there is in terms of Initial D, there's another racing anime. I did a panel in 2018 called Anime in High Gear, which I had like a small panel room, and it was about motorsports and anime. And one of them is a series made back in the early 90s called F. But in Italy, it's called Motori in Pista, or Pistons in Motion. And so the Italian DVDs has both the Japanese and the Italian dub on it. So I got to show an Italian dub of an anime at a panel. I think earlier this year I actually found the second part of that DVD set I bought on eBay to F. So that's sitting on top of my shelf. So I own a piece of F. About this time last year, someone had some Italian VHS tapes for sale, and it took 3 months to get over here. And then when I popped it in, it's unrecognizable. I can't get my money back, but I didn't spend that much. I'm just like, whatever. But that's sitting on my shelf too.
It was either one of your panels or someone else's. Someone mentioned in an early, not a Toonami block, but an early Cartoon Network block where they showed this one dirt bike anime, and it did like a parody. It was more like a parody dub than
was that a Titan? Was that a Titan Jump?
That's it.
BMX bikes.
That's it.
I'm the only one that's showing that. Yeah.
Yes, I showed it. That was your panel. That was great.
I showed it at the Cartoon Network anime panel, and then History of Anime on Cartoon Network, and then I showed that same scene at my Bad Anime Dubbing panel. So people got a double dose of a Titan Jump, and that's a show I've never even heard of until I was doing research on it. The video that I had was something I found on YouTube, which was like, it's kind of like because it's got a TCR timer code on top, so it came from some sort of tape master. I don't know of any kind of official release, but it does need to come out from Discotheque at some point.
Oh yes,
and it's not a 4Kids dub, even though it's like really, really bad. Like it looks like it could be. But it's not.
From what clips you shown, it felt like it was more like from the Battle Beat-em-on people or the Bakugan people.
See, Battle Beat-em-man was another. So, Battle Beat-em-man was a series that I didn't know about either until I was doing research. But then I found a Battle Beat-em-man tape at a Japanese store in Cary, North Carolina, a couple years ago. So I have a few Japanese VHS tapes that's up on that shelf over there, and one of them is a Battle Beat-em-man tape. And I had to like do a Google Translate, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Battle Beat-em-man." I had to look it up on Google, and then I was like, "Okay, so this is a show that I think aired on Cartoon Network," and then I found out there was promos on YouTube about it, like whatever's out there. So I've been showing, I use that. And I think I asked one kid about it that I was one of my former youth students, and he's just like, "Yeah, I used to watch that on Cartoon Network," and I was like, "Really?" Because I've never heard of this. But it was one of those shows that they bring in a series with a dub, and then they air at 6 a.m. on a Sunday, where nobody's watching TV at 6 a.m. on a Sunday.
That's how they finish airing the rest of Yu Hakusho, was that 6 a.m. block.
Yeah, there was reason. I'll tell you. So I even went into this on my Cartoon Network panel, was the fact that they had Gundam Seed on Fridays at a reasonable time, and they took it off for a week, and I thought they canceled it. Well, it turned out they were airing the rest of the block or that series for the next 6 months at 1:30 in the morning. I didn't know about it because I was recording it, and I got as far as the mid-20s. So I was pissed at my friend's house, and we got done seeing Star Wars, the third movie. And we're like, we'll just put it on Cartoon Network. There's nothing on, it's just something to have on. And it was episode 49 again. I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. I was pissed off so much. I was like, I just remember throwing the remote down, fuck, this sucks. Could have been recording, could have seen this whole time.
I've had a similar situation because as I said before, I didn't know about Anime Monday. Okay.
Oh, Anime Monday.
I heard about it. I go to it. I turn it on. The very last episode of Gundam 00. Okay.
Oh,
we canceled it. I never get a chance to enjoy this lineup.
I recorded, so I've taken some of my recordings so far. I've been kind of there's online communities of people that have been ripping tapes of stuff and putting it online. So there's a community. I've uploaded stuff that I've had for almost 20 years, or if not more. But I recorded Gundam 00 the first season consistently, and then when they brought season 2, I know I recorded part of that, and I was downloading the episodes to keep up with the rest of it. But I have to figure out where those tapes are, and I thought I had them somewhere, and I don't. Or maybe I have them. I do have them, and I just haven't labeled them, but they're somewhere. But yeah, I was recording Cowboy Bebop with me getting into it was my freshman year of high school in 2001. And Pierrot LeFou was my first episode introduction. I didn't know what it was. I just remember it was awesome looking. That was the one with the fat Santa Claus guy with the cane gun and like all the
Thank
guns.
you. Thank
That
you.
is
That's his name.
by far the best episode of Bebop. That's my favorite. That no one really wants to talk
So,
about. Yeah, that's always going to be my
well,
favorite.
if you
And
actually talk to people who like anime and Batman, the animated series, you'd probably hear that more.
okay.
Yeah.
But I remember going to school and like, "Hey, guys, I found this really awesome like anime. I don't even know." And they're like, "Is that Cowboy Bebop?" I said, "That sounds about right." And they're like, "Yeah, that's been on TV for a while." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so." And so I remember recording the last half of that very first run of or like the last bit of it of Cowboy Bebop. So like I got into it late, and then they re-aired it with the second airing, so that I was able to catch up. And so like I was able to record like Waltz for Venus, which didn't run originally because of 9/11 because it involved a plane hijacking.
Right.
Yeah. And
No.
I didn't watch the original Gundam on Toonami before that was pulled off because of 9/11, and then they were airing 8th MS Team about that same time, or if not probably right after. And
Yeah.
that's and then Gundam 8th MS Team is what got me back into Gundam.
Cool.
Yeah, so that kind of was like my resurrection of becoming an anime fan again, because I was like, I like war stuff, and like basically take a Vietnam story with giant robots, and that's
Oh,
gonna make team.
so Votoms will be right up your alley.
Oh no, I've seen Votoms. I have the whole Blu-ray set. Yeah, you're thinking of Kuman Jungle. That was the second arc that they did. That they're on that planet that's the jungle. Yeah, that was actually a good arc. And then they had Dead Roll Sansa was the third one, which was like the first half of it. Nothing really happens. It's Kiriko and the girl in a spaceship, and he's having PTSD.
Yeah.
And like I was kind of like getting really, really boring for like 4 or 5 episodes because he's just having flashbacks, and it's just them doing nothing in space. And then they get on Sansa, and then like stuff happens. And then God Planet Quinn is where I mean I don't want to spoil too much of it, but God is a giant computer, and Kiriko kills God by pulling out a couple of microchips. Like one of the officers, I think from the one of the armies was like, "You just killed God."
Ooh.
No, that whole Votom's Blu-ray set is I now Armored Hunter Mellow Link. They did a Blu-ray release of that in Japan recently,
Oh yeah.
and I'm hoping that gets I hope that gets released here. Like Mellow Link is like you take Rambo into the world of Votoms. It's that good.
There you go.
Oh, the Mellow Link is so good.
Uh, let's see. There was 2 other things. When we talked before airing, you mentioned about teaching in Japan for a bit. What's that? What was that like? What was
Oh,
that all about?
so I've been to since a weeaboo's job is to go to the land of Mecca, aka Japan. That's where all anime fans must go to take their journey to do something in Japan while they're there.
Yeah.
I was involved. I took a trip when I was in university for a week and a half to Japan to teach English to some elementary kids. So we had to do this whole training program and go over like teaching stuff. We had to work with the students there, which were females, and they were great. I it's an amazing feeling to be in an arcade and play Initial D and have a bunch of Japanese girls cheering for you. It's like it's a wonderful like alpha male feeling. I gotta say. I did beat someone in Japan at like Irizaka, and I was because the whole stigma stereotype of Japanese, like they're good at everything, blah blah blah. And when you beat him in something, you're like, "Holy crap, I'm the best gaijin ever!" And then played on Akina, and I got stomped bad. But
No.
just that one win was an accomplishment for me. That was on
Oh,
version
there you
7. Yeah, so I got to go to an arcade, and I just played Initial D. I was good with that. Yeah, so we were there we got there at the time of like a festival that was happening early June. And so we were on the side of the street, and so we got to see like the Princess of Kanazawa walk by. I think she was checking me out. I don't know. She was
go.
looking at me really good. I was just saying. I mean, there's not a lot of blonde-headed guys. I guess she didn't see often.
Fair enough.
But no, like it was. Yeah, I got a bunch of photos of that. I put it on like my Facebook years ago. It's just really, really great country. Very clean. I think the only piece of trash I saw was like a Coke can like on a pillar, and it wasn't even knocked over; it was sitting straight up. And
Okay.
yeah, and usually when you walk in cities, usually I'm always like really like someone's gonna jump us, and like it's like nothing's gonna happen to me in Kanazawa. And about 11 o'clock, everything shuts down. So like we're a bunch of like loud like foreigners trying to get back to our hotel room about 12 o'clock, walking downtown Kanazawa. There was no cars except maybe a taxi off in the distance. It was weird.
That's strange.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
bad enough Sunday over here in certain areas, 6 o'clock, everything dead.
yeah. That's something in the South where like it's 6 o'clock on a
Yeah.
Sunday, like everything shuts down.
And what's
Hmm.
worse is Monday when off of work, you're hungry, you want to go somewhere, but oh no, you work too late, so everything closes. So
Yeah.
thank God for the Waffle House. Probably have more Huddle House.
Waffle House has been good to me. It's comfort food.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've been to a Japanese bathhouse once, and that was an
How was that?
experience. Um, well, I didn't bathe with the women, and that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if I tell the story, you'll probably die laughing. The way I
Oh
tell it,
no.
yeah. So I just imagine like portly, white-looking dude coming into a bathhouse with a bunch of Asian dudes, and I don't know how like your rating is on this on in terms of descriptions of body parts, but I was not impressing anybody between what was between my legs. I wasn't like I was looking down like, oh hey, that's there. It's kind of like in hindsight,
Mm,
and you're trying to make it awkward, and
man,
because we
unless
don't.
you're
Americans don't publicly bathe with one another unless you're in a gay bathhouse, and you have to be gay
yeah,
to
I was
do that.
about to say unless you like looking what you're seeing, you're not
Oh
really supposed to be
yeah, so
endowed.
yeah, I just imagine it's like somebody coming home to their wife and like thinking like, I saw the damnedest thing today. There was a white dude with a tiny piece in between his legs. Those people bombed us in World War II. Think about that. That's just kind of like, yeah, I represented America in that bathhouse in Kanazawa. That's how anyways, but there was like a system on how you had to do things. Like there was a bath salt thing that you got into like loose. I went in there with this kid, like the homestay I was with, and the kid was a high schooler, and he was telling me what to do, and I was like, okay, I'm listening to you. And so we get in there, and I get in the salt bath, and it's supposed to help like loosen your muscles up or whatever. And
Okay.
some of it got in my mouth, and I was trying not to like barf everywhere. I was like, oh, this is disgusting.
So it
And
didn't taste like miso soup, eh?
oh, hell no. So, then you get out, and then you go to the shower areas, which is like you sit down on the little stools or whatever, and you have like you sit down. There's like a shower head, and you kind of just sit there and shower yourself. And I had one dude behind me that kept spraying me, like he'd like knock it back or something, and water kept hitting me. And I'm looking at him in the mirror, and then he's like, if he does it again, I'm gonna get him back. And so he did it, and I sprayed him real quick, and he just gives me this slow turn. And I'm like, "You really gonna start something in the bathhouse, dude? Like, come on." Um,
Well, leg sweeps would be easy.
yeah, I'm just like, he was annoyed. I'm like, you mess with me this whole time. Like, I bet you hate my guts because I'm a foreigner. I really don't care.
Uh,
Um, yeah, but it was interesting. It's like these like grandfathers and like dads taking their kids in there, and they're just like walking like nude to each other, and it's nothing.
yeah.
Because my thing was like, well, when in Rome, what the hell? I will say this: there was a part that I remember there was this guy. He had to been like over 80, like literally like bones and like skin husk taped to each other.
Taped
And
to each other.
so yeah, no. And my thing was that so you have to shower as you're leaving. Everyone has a line to shower, and I was like, if I look at an 85-year-old's dong, I'm gonna go into a comatose state. I do not want to see that. And
Now
he's like
hold
hobbling
on.
under the shot, the shower, and
Now if they're 85 years old, it's not the dong that'll be big. It's his balls that'll be big.
I don't want to see any of that stuff. And I was just
Neither
like,
do I, but I want you at
God,
least.
I don't want to look. I already seen enough. This is enough. And so I remember he got into the shower part, and like he's doing the rinse off, and he's like, oh, like turning around. And as he was turning around, the guy next to him was getting out. And I remember just bolting. I literally ran to that stall and I'm like, oh, yes, I don't have to see old man balls. Yeah, so I got out of there and it's like the kid and the mom were like, how was it? I was like, that was something. So that's kind of the condensed version of that story. If I ever did a comedy routine, that would be like my highlight there to get the whole place rolling. But
there you go.
Yeah, it's. I go by this rule of thumb: it's not gay unless you get a boner, and if you don't do that, it's not gay. You're fine.
Yeah. Well,
so that's my philosophy. You could agree to disagree, but anyways, so I don't want to get too descriptive in that, but
so. Nope.
Yeah, I would say that would be the highlight of the trip there. And it's kind of one of those things like once you do something that's like really rough or bad, you can like, if you have to do it again, you can. So it's like, if I have to take a shower in a bathhouse, I know what to expect. I've done it. I can just do it again and suck it up. So
there you go.
I'm not saying I'm going to willfully jump in there, but if it's one of those like situations I needed to get a bath, it's like, I've done it, whatever.
There you go.
No one's slapping each other with a towel in the butt or anything like that. They're just kind of like keep it yourself. And I'm not going to stir anything either. So,
yeah. We've all seen Steve Urkel come back and whip people's tails with towels and
man, you got me on Family Matters. That was a good episode. Yeah, he was Bruce Lee, Steven Urkel. Oh God, that show was good.
Oh, well, if I ever go to Chicago, I'm going to do a film walk, and that's going to be one of the locations.
The house is still there, last I heard.
If the house is still there, then unless they changed it up, the episode where they were in the park being Bruce Lee, that's across the street from them. You can kind of see it from the back away from the shot at the end. Okay.
Interesting.
I did take a tour to Warner Brothers, the WB Studios, and their high school. They reused it in some show called Gilmore Girls, but I saw the high school front over there. Also, the awesomely sweet Batmobile Museum.
Oh,
so that was really nice.
I was joking. I was gonna say I was joking with some people because I've been kind of watching the '66 Batman show. And just how ridiculous their logic is. We're like, here's the chief of police and all the lieutenants, and they can't figure out like a piece of paper. And so they're like, Commissioner Gordon, what do we do? The only thing we can do, Batman. The first episode was involving the Riddler, and I remember I had to pause and then just like laugh at how ridiculous it was. Where they get a note in the mail from the Riddler because he did a crime. They can't just call Batman up and read out the note to him and for Batman to just write it down and solve the riddle. No, they have to go down the poles, get changed, get dressed, drive the 20 minutes, 20 miles to downtown Gotham to go look at a piece of paper that they could have just said over the phone and they would have been able to solve it. But then that would have not led them to go 2 blocks over to figure out where I think they think Riddler's at or something ridiculous. Maybe they went right back to the Get Back game. I have no idea. I was like, oh my gosh, this show is fantastic.
The strangest awesome episode I remember from that show involving the Joker would be the Great Fish Theft of the Century.
Yeah.
And he's in like this old timey what do you call it, fire truck. He scoops the fish on the net, and he's like sitting all sprawled out on the cherry picker, just laughing and hollering and aggravating Batman to catch him. It's like he throws a batarang at the wheel, and you're going at high speeds of 10. I know if you watch that show in True HD, which it's not supposed to be shown there. They see like all the makeup mistakes on there.
Oh, I mean, like I've got like rips of it in HD. It's from the Blu-ray versions or whatever. So like you see all the details and stuff, and I just like that the Batmobile doesn't have an e-brake. It just has a parachute for them to do a 180 to go back the other way in the middle of the road. I was like,
with the 5
how hard
with
is
the
it to
rocket
just
at
yank
end.
the e-brake? It's a rear axle vehicle, just like pop it in clutch, you yank the e-brake, and it's a lot simpler than like leaving parachute parts everywhere in Gotham City.
Yeah.
Oh.
So with that, I think both of us are tired after our day of work.
Yeah.
So, any words of wisdom to the viewers out there?
I don't know. Just don't take crap from people and do what you need to do in life. Jesus loves you. Jesus saves. That's all I can say.
And with that, be smart and be savvy, people. Later, guys.
Later.